do it live.
We'll do it live.
Alrighty. Throwing it in the chats real quick.
You said you got it in the chats?
Okay. I do have it in the chats. Yes, sir. Oh, look at that. We have one person in the audience. It's James, and he said he's first.
What a guy. So reliable.
Yeah. Very, very reliable. All right.
I'm ready.
I'm ready as well.
Dude, I'm even readier.
Dude, call me ready at play one, all right?
All right, dude. Michael's not ready. That's unfortunate. Can't believe he's not ready.
He's not ready. A shame. All right, well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and do the intro.
Let's go to war!
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Banter Fodder podcast. I'm your host, Drew, and unfortunately, I'm only joined by Jimmy Jam, the Walker, Texas Ranger man. We are in need of a third co-host. We finally decided enough was enough. We could not have a Love and Thunder fan
as a third co-host
anymore. So, yep, he's gone. If anyone wants to submit their resume, y'all can go ahead and do that in the chat. You can also leave it in the Banter Fodder discussion group on Facebook.
Our resumes are just going to be the only resumes we'll accept are your letterbox reviews of Love and Thunder.
Exactly. We're not accepting anything over half a star. So it shouldn't be hard to, get a chance to get an interview and everything. Anyways, though, Jimmy Jam, how you been doing?
Michael's not off the podcast, by the way. he's just off for the night. To just clarify, he's had a busy week, so he won't be joining us for this one, unfortunately. But
yeah,
that Love and Thunder lover is still with us.
Nice. Man. Anyways, though, how have you been, James?
I've been pretty good. This has been a pretty good movie week for me. I made a trip to the theater for the first time since Brutalist. So first time since January. I went in February without being at the theater, I believe. Or was it February that I saw the Brutalist? Was it the first week of February?
I think you saw it in February.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Even still, still been over a month though. So this was nice to get back out.
Yeah.
And then I'm about to be transitioning into a new job. So that'll be pretty cool. That's been a big thing this week. Yeah.
For sure. Well, let's go ahead and talk about what we've been watching lately. Since Michael's not here tonight, I say we talk about a little bit more than just one movie. You finally getting that chance, bro. But yeah, I think you should tell the audience the big ol' triple feature that you had.
Yeah, will do. But before that, I did watch After Hours finally. Really enjoyed that. Such a departure from the normal Scorsese that I've seen, but it was really fun. It was fun to see him do basically just a comedy of errors movie. So
it's a really fun one.
I went and I saw Black Bag, and then Lost Highway, and then Fire Walk with Me, which was quite a day. So to start off with Black Bag, Black Bag rules. I was hoping I would love it, and I did love it. Uh, if people have heard of it, they've probably already seen like the kind of the narrative around it of like, hey, this is kind of a movie made for like grown-ups who aren't just wanting a bunch of silly jokes. It's just a cool, like strongly directed thriller that isn't kind of like low hanging fruit humor all the time and is really well done and all that good stuff. And everybody's like, if a Soderbergh film starring Fassbender and Blanchett is gonna like bomb, then I don't know. And it while also still reviewing well, I think it's like a 94, 96, something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like if this movie fails, we're basically just going to be in for like super niche artsy movies and blockbuster franchises and less in between. So I haven't been keeping up with this box office. I don't think it's doing amazingly well, which is sad because this movie rules. It's stylish beyond all reason. It's just cool. It just has a cool look. It has a cool like the score. I forget who scored it. I've got it pulled up on Letterboxd. Let me take a look at that just because I feel like they deserve a shout. Where's the composer? Who does he have a typical like go-to composer?
I honestly don't know. I'm not like super familiar with Soderbergh's work. I've seen all of the Ocean's movies. That's pretty much it, I feel like.
Yeah. It's David Holmes, and it looks like he's also scored the Ocean's films and some other
Okay.
from Soderbergh. So, um,
Frequent
anyways,
collaborator.
the score is really cool. Like I've said this a lot. Like I'm not saying this movie was like a hair short of an absolute masterpiece. Like it's a really, I think for a lot of people maybe it's even a 4-star. But the thing is, I went 4.5. I thought that like it's a super well told movie, super like great characters, great acting, great performances, really clever and all that. But it's got like the special sauce that's like a line will be said and then like the beat of the score will drop and then it'll do a cool transition and you're like, yeah,
Nice.
that's cool. And like it'll just cut to a particular shot and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like it's super well made. Like all the ingredients are there, and then there's just the sprinkle of just like really cool little cool parts of the way the score is used, really cool cuts, really cool like this line is read and then it chooses to just sit on that. And then a cut as it's like, I don't know, there's just little things all throughout where like there's always some cool decision being made to me
Nice.
as far as like the edit and the sound, the direction, all that stuff. So it just elevated it up to where I'm like, I just had fun at the movies. I just had such a good time sitting there watching this. I think it's so great. It does with the premise of like, he's suspicious of his wife. They're both spies. Does she know he's like all of that kind of stuff? It does stuff with that premise that I thought was really cool and refreshing. And so I just when it ended, I left the theater just kind of like on that little movie theater buzz where like I just stepped out of a movie that I loved. That was awesome. I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
So highly recommend Black Bag. And then Lost Highway is a wild film. It is insane. It was the first time well, not the first time because I've seen The Return and I'm having a hard time making heads or tails of aspects of that. But like I finished Fire Walk with Me. Dune doesn't really count because he's adapting, but like
Yeah.
Fire Walk with Me and Blue Velvet and Eraserhead, for me, there's a lot of enigma there. There's a lot of like, what the heck was that? What was that about? Why did that? But I actually feel like I know the broad strokes of those pretty well. Like I'm like, I know the themes of these films. I know the ideas. I know like I can get what he's after. And I think even the overarching plot is pretty easy to follow despite all the weird texture in between. Like, it's still pretty easy to follow. Lost Highway, I was like, I don't know, it just happened. I have no
Yeah.
idea what all of this was about. I overall preferred the first half to the second half. Everything with Bill Pullman in that house, I thought like this is a horror movie, and I
Oh
did not
yeah,
expect that.
yeah, it's
Like when they're
awesome.
watching the videotapes, I'm like, this is creepy. This is really
Yeah,
creepy. Uh, there are just so many moments that I thought were so unreal, unnerving. His first conversation with the mystery man is like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
Oh, and so that's not to say I thought the second half was bad either. Uh, I love the self-contained, like the generally self-contained location of the first part and the intrigue going on there. The second half was still good for sure, and is I think it may be of everything I've seen outside of the return, it might be his most impressive as far as like direction and style and everything. Um, it's just when it ended, I definitely was like, "What,
all right,
what
yeah,
was that?"
yeah,
It'll probably be one I'll talk about more and read more about, and like because it's one of those ones where you see it and you're like, I've never seen anything like that. That was
yeah,
wild. So it's one of
yeah.
those ones where you're like that was quite the experience.
You
So
really, that is one of those films where you just have to go along for the ride, and you're
yeah,
either gonna love that or hate it, and there's no in between. And even if you love it, you won't understand it like me. So I had to like kind of just give up any trying to make sense of anything. And there's some things like I read some articles or some reviews where like people pointed out things, but honestly, I don't even think David Lynch himself knows what the film means.
yeah. There's like the broad like I know it has something to I know duality is a big theme because duality is always a big theme with him. I know like duality and identity is there.
Yeah,
I know like just the objectification and violence against women seems to be a theme running through this one. There's like cyclical, like it feels like there's something of just about cyclical violence and so like there's a lot of stuff like, but I only know that's there like in the broadest of terms. When it's like, what is this movie saying about identity and duality? I'd be like, I don't know. It's there.
yeah,
I just don't know how. So that was an experience, and then the triple feature was capped off with Fire Walk with Me, and I love Fire Walk with Me. I love being broken by Fire Walk with Me, because this movie, I'm I know I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but whenever the first time I watched Fire Walk with Me, I could not get it out of my head for the longest time. Like I was always like I would wake up in the morning, literally be like, oh my gosh, the ending. What did like? It's just like that's how I'd start my day off,
yeah,
thinking about it and listening to the score on repeat and everything. So getting to see it on the big screen was huge for me. It's such a treat. It's such a strange movie. What's weird, like what's really weird is whenever I had seen it at home, it was it was immediately following, a binge of the first two seasons. And
yeah,
so after two seasons of Twin Peaks, you're just like acclimated to weirdness. And so like there's a lot of weirdness that still kind of took me off guard in Fire Walk with Me, but I'm still like, yeah, this is fitting. I'm so used to this. I'm many episodes deep into Twin Peaks. So watching it on the big screen, not having a binge, like not having seen like both seasons recently, it was an even bigger reminder of how effing weird Fire Walk with Me is,
yeah.
because it's like I'm watching, like I just watched Black Bag, which is this polished, beautiful, like high budget kind of like movie, and now I'm watching this like that. It opens like with an agent arresting like these random ladies in this field in the middle of nowhere in front of a school bus full of crying children, and it's never addressed, it's never brought up. And there's
Yep.
so many of those weird Twin Peaks moments where again, if you're watching it at home right after you've watched like both seasons, it feels normal. But there's just something about sitting in a theater being like, watching all of this on this big screen in a movie theater, I'm like, gosh, this is so weird. This is the weirdest movie
It's
ever.
like a fever dream.
Yeah, no, it's just like, how did this happen? Lynch, how did you do this? You madman. Um, So, but that was quite a treat. I did not think I would be able to, because both of our Twin Peaks journeys, I believe, both started last year, right? Or
Yeah.
had yours
Or
started?
actually, no, mine had started just before,
Yeah, because I
probably like
remember
end of
you were a few
2023.
episodes into it already.
Yeah,
Um, but regardless, like we're both, kind of recent converts to the Twin Peaks fandom, and
absolutely.
getting for me being able to see this on the big screen so soon after loving this was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's man. I really hope that I get the chance to see it on the big screen and other David Lynch films. It'd be really cool. Yeah. My recent watches haven't been nearly as exciting as doing a triple feature like that.
Mm,
I did see Novocaine in theaters, and I really enjoyed it. It's about exactly what I kind of expected it to be. It's really fun, um, a lot funnier than I was expecting, and really well directed for the most part. There's some really cool creative action sequences. I think one of the biggest problems of the film is that the trailer showed far too much, and I think that some of the really creative stuff could have hit even harder if they had pulled that back a little bit and not shown everything in the trailers. Um, but there's some fun twists and turns. It's really entertaining. Jack Quaid is just continuing to prove himself to be like one of the most likable actors right now. So I had a good time watching it on the big screen.
nice.
Terrible theater experience though. Theater etiquette is, as we always say, at an all-time low. Um, but yeah, and then right before we started going live, I just watched Dee Dee, and
Oh, nice.
that was high on my list last year. I really wanted to see it on the big screen, but it had a super limited release, so I didn't get the chance to watch it. Um, and it's been out on streaming services for months and months now, but I finally just got around to watching it, and I loved it. It's
Nice.
really really good. There's a lot of films that have come out in like the last couple of years where they try to like, they set it in like the like early mid late 2000s, or they set it in the 90s, and it just doesn't feel genuine. Like
Yeah.
it feels like they're trying too hard to capture that and then like just missing the point. This is like one of the most earnest like looks into the 2000s that I've seen on film. um it That was loud. I just heard a car honk its horn. Um, that just made me lose my train of thought. What the heck, man? Anyways, um, so yeah, it's just a very earnest look at the 2000s. Very relatable in a lot of ways. And it is, I guess, technically a coming of age story, but it's very different than like the typical one. Um, it feels a lot more just like a slice of life drama with all of the like awkwardness that comes with like a growing of age or coming of age story. So um yeah, it was a really fun one, and it's got an incredible score too. um just really good vibes. So I was a big fan of that.
Nice. I wanted to
Yeah,
watch that. The trailer really made me want to see it, so I'm glad
yeah,
to hear it. It's good.
it's really good. It's directed really well. It's also very stylistic. They do some really cool stuff with the editing, so I was a fan. um But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into Warrior. Um, so, for those of you who are still here, or those of you who are listening on the podcast feed, we had our Facebook group vote for a film that we were reviewing this month. And since we were doing a sports theme month, we only allowed sports themed films. Um, Warrior ended up winning. So that's what we ended up landing on for today. And let me tell you what, dude, this movie is unreal. um, I didn't really know what to expect from it. I had mentioned on our last live stream that I was going into this film not really knowing anything about it other than Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and that was it. I was just going in, no preconceived notions, and um, it was a really great way to watch this. I think that there's some stuff in the film that if I had known more about it, maybe the emotional beats of the story wouldn't have hit as hard. But because I had like no clue about anything that happened in the film, uh, when we get to certain moments, it just absolutely wrecked me. There were several times throughout this watch where I had tears running down my face.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Same.
just uncontrollable. Um, so, and also, well, we'll get more into it in a little bit, but the way it's directed and shot was really impressive. So yeah, I love this. Not to spoil too much of my thoughts, but
So what'd you think?
we'll do a live. um, yeah, this is a great choice by the group. So if you're not already in the discussion group, it's Banter Fodder, a film and television discussion group on Facebook. The link is in the bio, or in the description as well.
Link in bio.
Yeah, so see, that's another one of those like DD things, 2000s. But yeah, definitely join our group so you can join in on those polls. And
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing for next month quite yet, but maybe we'll have some room for another
We
vote
know
to
our
come in.
first movie.
We do know our first movie.
I'm
Yeah,
unbelievably hyped about our first movie.
same. Yeah, next week is going to be our 50th episode. So I'll just go ahead and say it now. We decided, we wanted to review a film that like we won't even be able to do justice for how incredible it is.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2.
And the first one. That's right. We're reviewing both back to back in one stream. But yeah, we're reviewing The Godfather, which is a long time coming. I know that it's been thrown around in films that we need to discuss on the podcast. And so it only feels right to do it for our 50th episode since we're hitting such a big milestone. I'm so pumped. I've only seen it one time, and it was years ago now, like maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5. So that's crazy to think about. That it's already the time has flown by that fast, but I'm pumped. We're finally gonna be starting The Godfather.
And we're changing the name to match.
Yes. I could actually do that for April Fools, just change the name for a day. But yeah, Jimmy Jam, give me your initial thoughts on Warrior.
So I don't really remember a lot of the specifics around the first time I watched this. I just know I was in college and I lived with my brother for a while during college, and we just go down to our family video and rent movies and watch them all the time.
Dude, throwback to family video.
Dude, it's so great. It's out of business now because of course it is, but
Yeah.
dang, dude. It was close to, so like, man, in college, a weekend comes along, like, dude, let's pick up pizza, go to family video, see what they got, not even go there with an agenda before. It's just, let's see what they got, man, I love doing that. So I want to say that this was just maybe one of those instances or a red box or something. And so it's just another movie that we thought looked good. Tom Hardy, that's a great, great draw. So we watched it and it ended and I am just in tears. Like what just hit me? What an unexpected emotional like gut punch this movie was. And to me, this is one of those like crowd pleasing great movies where anybody is gonna watch this and love it. You know, like uh
Yeah.
we I showed friends this movie. We literally rewatching it for the podcast. I rewatched it over at my parents' house with my mom, my dad, my brother that I watched it with originally, and both my younger sisters. All of us watched it, and sometimes my tastes line up with my parents, sometimes they don't. But with this one, it's like this ended, and everybody was. My mom was like, "I forgot just how good this was." I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so good. Like it's just, and it's got that like the spoil or the I was about to say spoilers because I just read the spoiler comment from
Yeah.
Michael. Michael's in the comments saying, "Yeah, he can't stay because of spoilers, but he misses us. We miss you too, Michael.
Yeah. We
You need
miss
to
you
watch
more.
this movie. You've got to watch it soon."
Yes.
Um, but like it being a sports movie, you've just got like the cheering moments built in just because it's a sports movie, and like
Yeah.
you're just looking around the room and everybody watching it has got like smiles on their face as people are cheering and stuff, like maybe something turning good in the favor of our hero. It's like Rocky, like you're involved in the
Yeah.
fight, and it's so easy as an audience member to become wrapped up in the drama of the fights and the drama of the characters and the relationships and stuff. So just on that level, it's just such a fun movie to watch with people because it's like you have to go out of your way to find somebody who's not going to love this movie.
Yeah.
Um, but in addition to just being like a really fun, like doing all the cool sports stuff that you like, it's another great character drama. Like the two brothers and their dad in this are just like characters that I care so deeply about. Um, there are moments where I feel my heart like breaking in my chest for them at times. Um, and it's like it's not just like, oh, that was sweet, or oh, that made me sad. It's like whenever the moments hit me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot right now.
Yeah.
So that was like my first reaction to this movie, and it's been my reaction every time I've rewatched it. I've rewatched it like 4 or 5 times since my first viewing, and it's like it's the same experience every time. It's like super invested in the sportiness of it, super invested in the characters, full of tears by the end. Just like again, rewatch after rewatch, I'm like, I think this is just it's all I'm always gonna feel this way about the movie. We've got a Brian Valco in the comments. He uh he is giving a little foreshadow of maybe some of my critiques of the film with his first comment. Um, so I'll circle back to your comment, Brian, whenever we get more into it, because I actually do agree with some of what you said there.
Mm.
But anyways, that's my like my initial experience with this movie has been my experience every rewatch is just like, gosh, that's so great. I'm crying. I was cheering. What a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. And I will say, like, there's some sports films, like the whole genre is inspirational, right? But sometimes, like with the lower tier sports films, they might not feel as earned as something like Rocky does. And I feel like Warrior is up there with Rocky, and like these moments that are inspirational where the underdog is rising up, stuff like that. It feels very earned. And I think a lot of it just comes from how like earnest like a lot of the family drama is,
Yeah.
especially between his brother and his dad. Um and then the the weight of Brendan's situation with the house. Um there's a lot of factors that play into this where it's like when you get to those moments, it feels so earned. Just adds like an extra layer of competence behind the film, behind the
Yep.
writing. But yeah, so let's see. I guess let's go ahead and just get started with the characters. Specifically, I want to start off with uh, Joel's character. Um, I didn't know that he was going to be the protagonist of the film. In all of the like promotional material, Tom Hardy kind of like seems to be, like he's on, like his face is front and center on the posters. On Letterboxd, the cover photo is a photo of him. Um, and so I was a bit shocked when he wasn't the lead character. And I mean, in a lot of ways, they both are like playing leading roles, but I really feel like Joel's character, Brendan, feels like the protagonist of this film. Um, and I really like his character a lot. Um, I love that the film starts off with showing like, just where they're at in life. Tom Hardy is going to his dad and he's, just kind of chatting up with him. And I love like their exchange at the beginning of the film, and just like you really get that sense of history that
Yeah.
there's something going on there between them. And he really feels like his dad doesn't care about him. And um
Really, really great exposition writing in that scene,
yes.
in my opinion, because technically there's a lot of "as you know" happening, where
Yeah.
they're kind of saying things that they both know, but they're also, although they are having to like, it is, they're also being clever in terms of there are things about Tom Hardy's life that the dad doesn't know, so Tom Hardy does have the motivation to say, well, let me tell you about mom, throwing up blood on her knees and all of the, because his dad doesn't know that,
Yeah.
doesn't know the circumstances of her death. But there's also like, whenever these characters are saying things to each other that they both know, it makes sense for the characters. Like when the dad is talking about their history of him training him as a youth, we don't know that until the dad says it. And instead of doing the whole like, as you know, I was your father and I trained you and you were like,
Yeah.
there's none of that. It's like, what if we went back to the good old days? Like he has the poster of him versus Theogenes, and like, let's see how, like, tell me how close you came to, beating that record, and maybe it'll be like the good old days when, like, it's just, it's worked. Their history is worked into the dialogue in really natural ways, where
Yeah.
he is bringing up the past because he's trying to like use the past as a way to like get back into the good graces of his son, being like, remember when we used to do these things, like we could do
Yeah.
that again. And Tom Hardy's like, oh, what, all I remember is you being a drunk, like it. And Tom Hardy has so many lines that are just like, he's saying things that like both people know, but he's saying it anyways just to twist the knife,
Yeah.
and so it's just, I think it's really good writing where like we're getting so much backstory, but it's also exactly how this conversation would play out anyways, so it doesn't feel like ham-fisted exposition.
Yeah, 100%. I that's something that I really appreciated about it. Because I cannot stand when films are giving that like really bad exposition, and it's like, all right, you didn't have to say it like in a way that is like ham-fisted and like super obvious. It's like I think that you can still sell a sense of history between people without even over explaining everything, or
There's
just
a
having it
line,
like come naturally in conversation.
yeah.
What were you
There's a
gonna say?
line that I think of in Attack of the Clones whenever I think about that kind of writing. And it's funny because we already like saw the way they met, so we didn't even need it. But I think of Obi-Wan, you're very strong and brave. I have trained you since you were just a boy. And it's like, yeah, I know. I was kind of there.
Yeah. Oh man. Um, what a movie, though.
Oh
We
yeah,
love
dude.
Attack of the Clones.
We do.
Uh, but yeah, I really like that the film starts with that, and then you get that awesome title card.
Oh yeah.
I love like just the black screen and just the massive blown out
Yeah.
font covering the majority of the screen, and then cutting straight to Joel Edgerton's character. Um,
And the stark cut that is to go from the
yes,
depressing intro to like
yes,
a birthday party.
yes, and just getting a sense of his life. Like he just seems like a regular old like dad, and seeing him as a teacher. The way that this film is shot reminds me a lot of Rocky and a lot of other films from the 70s, where it's just a lot of like handheld shots. It kind of just feels like you're there a lot of the times. There's like even down to like scenes where they're in the diners, and like, you know, Tom Hardy and his dad are they're just sitting at a table. Like the camera will be like placed and it'll be a little shaky because it's still handheld, but they'll be like behind a counter and there'll be like stuff like kind of in the frame of the shot that's like obscuring them a little bit, and it's like just stuff like that. Like it feels very documentary in the way that it's shot, and the grain as well.
A lot of grain.
Yeah, it looks great. It adds this really nice texture to the film. Um, and so I think that when we cut to the birthday party at the start of the film, it it really just like I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm at the party with them, and I really like the way that it was directed and shot, just throughout the whole film. But just reeling me in that way, I think really helped me get to know these characters and care about them even more.
One thing stylistically before really moving into Edgerton's character is it it also like it kind of had that Moneyball documentarian kind of style that we talked about last episode where that'll just look like pure shiny movie, and then it'll kind of have that handheld stuff where it's weirdly enough one of the movies that this reminds me most of, or movies that this movie stylistically reminds me a lot of, are the Bourne films. Even like
Mm,
they're not action films, but they've got that like super wide lens while also being super zoomed in, so that any nudge is like whoa,
yeah,
whoa, like it's just because of like those two effects going on at once. So that feeling of like peeking over, like almost like a documentary, like it feels like just that somebody took their digital camera out there and is just like
yes,
getting all this footage. And so yeah, it's far from just being a kind of a conventional looking film. It definitely has like a chosen visual style, and
yeah,
I always appreciate that when a movie is like, no, let's make choices.
yeah. Especially in the sports genre, because we
Yeah.
don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so they stand out even more when we do. Um, but yeah, so Joel Edgerton's character, I think I really really like him, just like personality wise. He, is really like just trying to hold his family together, provide for them, um and it kind of seems like, just life keeps like coming at him, you know. And I really like that when we get characters like this in a lot of films, they tend to be, um I don't know, just like angry at the world, or kind of become complacent and give up. And I like that he kind of has like this sense of like he's still fighting, and even though it feels like the world is like falling apart around him, he doesn't want to give up. And there's just like, I don't know, just kind of this, like, it seems like he has like a heart to him. And it's very like juxtaposed with Tom Hardy's character, where it's like he's been through a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, they both, him and his brother, have, but um, he has grown like very cold. Um, Joel Edgerton's character, he is there's like a sense of like, I don't know, just warmth to him. And even like the way that the film is shot, I noticed there's a lot of scenes with Joel's character where um there's warm lighting,
Yeah.
like and then you switch back to Tom Hardy's and it's just cold and
Gray.
gray, sometimes like this sickly like green tinge to it.
Yeah.
um and again, another like really interesting choice visually, to just kind of sell where the characters are at. But um I I just like that the film doesn't really start with any fighting, I mean, like it does with Tom Hardy's character, but in terms of like our protagonist, like it takes us a little bit to get there. And um I don't know, it's just it's a nice change of pace from a sports film.
And you get a sense for his situation, his family, his job, and all that. And so you got a lot of background by the time he steps into that fight in the parking lot. You're like, you already kind of know who the guy is and
Yeah.
everything. Um, and yeah, just about the lighting thing that you brought up. That is something that like you feel the effect of that on you in the film. Where like I'm thinking about the major scenes that are like primarily Joel Edgerton scenes. It's like the introductory birthday party scene, just bright lights outside. Whenever anytime he's in Frank Griot's gym, like it's just a well lit gym, super crisp, clean. Whenever he takes the phone call, finding out that he got it, he's outside taking out the trash. You got the bright sun out there, green grass. Um, or at the school, bright classroom, all the bright colored shirts on all the students. Like it's just such a
Yeah.
intentionally bright. And I'm pretty sure in all of the Tom Hardy scenes, it is exclusively shades of like dull gray to pitch black. Like whether
Yeah.
he's running out on the street, even the diner that he meets his dad in, everywhere, like that rundown gym that he trains at, like everything is just gray in his
Yeah.
portions. And you just even if you don't like point it out yourself, like it's just kind of you feel it subconsciously where you're like, these portions of the film feel so much more drab
Yeah.
than Joel's characters. But as for Brendan as a character, uh, I feel like it's a kind of character and story that could feel really tired, um, where it's like you got a guy who feels like he's up against the wall. The bank's about to foreclose, and he's got a wife and kids. What's he gonna do? Like, it's
Yeah.
we've seen that kind of stuff. You see that in drama, but the thing is, I don't think it's inherently bad. I think it can be a perennial story. You can always tell that story of a dad who feels like he's in a desperate position to keep his family together, to keep a home, like that, just because that story is always happening somewhere out there.
Yeah.
So I think if a movie is choosing to tell a story that can feel that familiar, what it needs to do is to at least make the character easy to invest in. It's all about the characterization, because the broad stroke story is pretty familiar, which again can be even a good thing. There's a reason we tell stories again and again. And
Yeah.
I think with Brendan, I'm with you. Like he's just got a warmth to him. He's got a likability to him. I enjoy watching him on the screen. I think uh, Joel is great in the role. Like
Yeah.
you really like him. Um, like I love the scene where he's trying to talk his coach into taking him back on, and he's like, "Yeah, I got suspended." And his coach throws the ball at him, and then he points it back out, and it's got the smiley face, and he smiles at him. And, or whenever his coach is like, "I'll talk to somebody," he's just like, "I love my coach." He's like, he is really likable, and you do like his relationship with his wife, and you are like, man, I'm okay, movie, you did it. I'm rooting for him. I really like this guy. And
Yeah.
then you layer on everything where it's like he does seem so warm and kind, and then his interaction with his dad, where you're like,
Oh man.
oh man, like I thought that the dad's like relationship with Tom Hardy would be like the rocky one, and because that there is like they've got such a rocky relationship with each other, that maybe he's on better terms with Joel, since the introduction to Joel's or to Brendan as a character is just he's likable, he's nice, he's blah blah blah, and even Brendan is like, "What are you doing here? Phone or mail? You're not allowed around here." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
So like the layer on top of like the whole, foreclosure, all of this stuff is he's also got his own, messed up history with his dad. So,
Yeah.
and you find out that as nice and likable as he is, he's got a lot of history that he has not worked through with his father either, and it shows. And I think it ends up being really, really strong writing.
Yeah, and that scene in particular was one of the scenes that just wrecked me. Um him I can't remember the exact line. Um but whenever Brendan says he basically says like you got your son, and
Yeah,
he's talking about his brother, and I was just like, dude, man, that hit so freaking hard. And then also, how do you pronounce Nick's last name?
Nick
I was
Nolte.
Nolte. That's what I thought. I always like feel like I mess it up. Nick Nolte's performance in this film is great. But in this scene especially, man, he like it just sells the scene even more. Um, because his reaction to that is so heartbreaking, and you know that's another thing that they established really well from the start of the film. Like the dad is not just a bad guy or whatever, right? They have history. He was an alcoholic. He wasn't a great dad, but
And there's a line from Tom Hardy where you're like, there's a lot in that line whenever the dad is like, "No more women for me," and Tom Hardy's like, "Yeah, it must be hard to find a girl who can take a punch these days." You're like, "Oh my
yeah,
gosh!" Like, oof, went for the
yeah.
jugular on that one, man.
hmm Um, but like I like that they don't establish his character as just this guy that you're rooting against, and that he is just another antagonist for the brothers. He's honestly like just as much of a supporting character as as Brendan's wife is, like,
I To me even
or
more so.
more for sure. But I mean like supporting in the way that like he he is like he has like good motives behind what
Oh
he's
yeah,
doing. He's not just like another antagonist, which I really like about this film, because they could have just painted him as just a secondary villain. Um and I like that there's a lot of growth within his character, which also adds a lot of interesting character arcs to both of our lead characters. Um, but yeah, I think like just the writing in this film for the most part is really strong, especially when it comes to our like the brothers and the dad.
Yeah. And an interesting thing with the way the movie introduces us to these characters is like with Nick Nolte's character with Patty, we that's his name, right? Paddy, isn't it? Yeah, Patty Conlon. Um, like he's introduced, stepping outside a church and stopping a sweet church lady for like a compliment to it. Just like the movie introduces him as he's like, we like this guy. This is a good guy. And it's not until like we don't hear about his history until we hear it from the sons. But by introducing us on the right foot with him, at least my experience of the film is like I'm always hearing about how messed up what he was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I know. There's reasons you hate him, but I was introduced to him whenever he was on the other side of all of that. I was introduced to him post redemption. He's 1,000 days sober. He hates himself for the actions he did. He's just so repentant of all of his past life. So we start out on that foot with him, and so it kind of that scene whenever Brent he's at Brendan's front yard. Like there's so many devastating lines in that scene to me, and the line whenever he's like, I've got daughters in there, and he's like, yes, I've got a granddaughter in there I haven't seen in 3 years, another one I've never even met. And then whenever the part that just whenever he sees them in the door and he's like, oh, is that Emily? Is that little Rosie? Like, because the change that she's gone through, and then just the whole existence of a grandchild he's never seen, and seeing him from inside the house through the screen door, just standing out there like hat in hand, being like, maybe if I could come in for a coffee, or just
and then also his daughter, Brendan's daughter, saying, "Dad, who's that?" Like, that makes it just sting even more.
But the movie also like does a good job of making you understand why it's not an easy thing for these guys to reconcile, because again, his relationship with their mom sounds horrible. His relationship with them sounds terrible. Because I mean, Tom Hardy was the favorite child, and Tom Hardy hates him more than anybody.
Yeah.
So, and it also sounds like he's 1,000 days sober, so this is not like it sounds like they've been estranged for he's been probably estranged from Tom Hardy for years. But then Brandon makes a comment about, he's like, you remember 3 years ago? Never again. And what I kind of love that we don't find out what happened 3 years ago. In my mind, he's probably drunk and was just being really irresponsible. Like, you don't want a drunk. His oldest daughter is still pretty young, and so 3 years ago she'd be even younger. You don't want a drunk person holding your child. Like I feel like as a parent, if I saw at somebody like 5 beers in and not just not really carrying themselves well, like holding my child, I'd be like, put them down and step the freak away. That is And so you just get the sense,
become the warrior.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the sense that like something happened 3 years ago, probably, and it's probably what started his 1,000 days of being sober, because it probably affected him too, being like, how did that happen? How did I let it come to that? But again, 3 years is pretty recent, so it's like you understand why Brendan is still like, I don't trust you. I can't trust you right now. So I don't know. It does a good job of making you be like, I like this person and I like this person, and I get why they feel the way they do right now. And it's hard. Like, you want, at least for me, like I'm like, I want reconciliation for them so bad, but I can't blame Brendan, for feeling how he does.
Yeah, not at all. I would 1,000% be in the same shoes, or not in the same shoes. I would be acting the same exact way if I was in his shoes. Because like, yeah, I mean, you don't want that influence around your daughter.
Yeah.
And then also like, you don't want to be like, you know, oh wow, like I'm still taking care of my dad because he gets drunk all the time. Like just having that like appearance to your kids, but also to other people.
Yeah.
Um it probably feels like a bad look on him, even though it's not. But like, yeah, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine like what they had gone through, and so
Yeah.
they do a good job on selling that. And I do love, like you said, that they didn't really explain what happened 3 years ago. Um, that's one of those things where it's like, it in a way it's like a bit of it tells you like history about them without actually like having to show it.
Yeah.
Um,
We just
but
we
yeah,
just know it was his fault. And again, what's the way the lines go, where he's like, when he says, "I haven't seen him in 3 years," and he says, "And why is that? Do you remember having anything to do with that?" And he just has like he just looks at the ground and he's like, "Yeah."
yeah,
Like, oh man.
yeah, they sell it really well. Yeah, well, so what do you think of Tom Hardy's character? And then also, I guess we can tie that in with one of the comments Brian left at the start about some of the stuff that you were alluding to. I don't know if it was that part of the comment in particular with Tom
It
Hardy's character.
Yeah, so to me, I have no problems with Tom Hardy's character in terms of just like the writing for him. It's the plot points around him, but just him as a character, I think is
Yeah,
incredible. Uh his To go back to that first scene, and I guess we're talking a lot about the dad just because these two brothers are so like defined by their relationship with their dad. So
yeah,
the dad will get brought up a lot in these conversations too. So but that first scene, uh whenever you were first really learning about Tom Hardy, and again there are so many lines in that where it's like this is a guy who has been through crap, and he's just so bitter and resentful about it. And you get it. Again, the more you learn of their history, they're like, man, it's hard to not understand why he feels this way. But they're like, it's just in this opening scene, any opportunity to stick a dagger in
yeah,
and to twist it around, he takes. Like that line about you just casually. I mean, this is his own mom he's talking about, and he says it so casually just to try to like make it hurt more when he says like, yeah, it's got to be hard to find a girl who could take a punch these days. It's like, oh my goodness. Or whenever he's like, oh, you found God, that's nice. Mom called out to him, but I guess Jesus was too busy forgiving all the drunks, huh?
mm,
I was like, oh man. And then the last one, like the one that it seems like it hurts Patty the most, is whenever he just looks and is like, I think I liked you better when you were drunk. Uh, and
yeah,
Patty just like he puts his hand in his face, he all the weight, and it's you gotta feel the weight of the consequences, so it's like his life, all it sounds like he just spent like a lifetime and an entire marriage's worth of like awful decisions, so you get it. But it's hard to sit in that moment of just watching him face to face with the consequence of all of his actions and just bury his face in his hands like, I've completely sacrificed my relationship with my son. He
yeah,
hates me. And that comment, like, to him, he's 1,000 days sober. This represents his step on the right path. This is his repentance. This is his way of getting better. And so this tangible thing that he can point to and say, like, look, I am getting better. I am trying. For his son to say, I liked you better when you were drunk. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, it's that. Yeah. So he even though both brothers have a really tough relationships with their dad, it's clear that Tom Hardy carries even more just real anger and bitterness. And I think it makes him a really compelling character, though. And I again, you get a lot of sides to his character, like when he finds out he can compete in Sparta, and he calls Pilar to let her know, like, hey, I've got money going on, and like he's invested in her life, like he's asking about the kids, and you see his face, and he's like smiling about it. He's like,
Yeah.
how is the little man? Like he's a guy, he cares, like the people in his life that he chooses to care about, he cares deeply about,
Yeah.
so like he is super like he's very humanized in it in really great ways. Um and uh and like the great conversation, this ties into both brothers, the conversation they have out like on the beach,
Hmm.
whenever you get a lot of their history finally out in the open.
Yeah.
And and you like to know that like there was a plan that the three of them would leave their dad all together, that they'd go, it'd be the two brothers and their mom. And then for you understand his anger, where he's like, my older brother told me and my suffering mom that we would leave together, and he chose to stay behind with our awful dad because he met a girl in high school. Like
Hmm.
you understand why he would resent him for that. Um, but you'd also understand why Brendan is like, okay, yeah, but we were kids. We're adults now. You're still like, you can't forgive the decisions that a kid made
Yeah.
under those circumstances. Like, and then by the way, it worked out. I married the girl and I've got kids. And
Yeah.
the lines in that scene when he's like, these are your nieces. He's like, I don't know them. It's like, I know you don't know them. Of course you don't know. Then why am I looking at pictures of people I don't know? It's like, those are your nieces, dude.
I know.
Oh, like it's like, I think his character is so well written, and like all of everything he's resentful for, it makes sense. His motivations make sense. He's super compelling to watch. Tom Hardy is incredible in the role.
Yes.
So I guess before I'll get into my critiques, those are my thoughts on just like the character himself and how he's written, and I'll kind of want to hear your thoughts on him before I talk about I guess some of the
Yeah.
plot.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that also we'll like you said, we'll get into your critiques in a second, but I think that that subplot behind his character adds a lot to his character too, in the way that, you know, he has a lot of regret for, decisions that he made himself, which I also think in some ways helps like kind of rebuild the relationship between him and his dad. Um because like even though they're very different like situations, um you can just tell like there's like almost a sense of like relatability behind them, like or like you can almost sense that like he kind of relates to his dad in some ways,
Yeah.
even though like he's just absolutely brutal with him. um I think it really shines like later on whenever they're in the hotel room or like the resort
Mhm.
room, and which that is a scene that we'll have to talk about. But yeah, like I don't know, like I think like he just has a lot of depth to him in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Like there is the history between him and his dad. He has the history between him and his brother. But on top of that, he's got this whole other thing with him being in the military that, you know, adds another layer to his character. So I really like the way that he's written. And I also think this is one of Tom Hardy's best performances.
Yeah.
He's just on top of his game in this. And like, even whenever we get to the fights themselves, like just like sheer like force and willpower, and like he's just there to conquer. Like he is not gonna stop. Like he is just there to put everyone to shame, anyone in his path. And so just the way that Tom Hardy portrays that, I think, is just excellent. So freaking good.
Leaving the ring immediately after every fight is so
Oh,
baller.
I love it. It's so freaking cool. And like especially like to add insult to injury, when he like knocks the dude out in like half a second and then just walks out of the ring as if like he knew that the dude was done for.
Yeah,
Like he
exactly.
didn't.
He didn't wait for the.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah, Tom Hardy's excellent in this. I so I think that this film is like really great for the most part, but I also think I'm gonna like share with some of your criticisms and Brian's. The military stuff with Tom Hardy's character, it in the film, in the moment, it kind of works for me. I like the way that it's shot. I love like the, I don't know, just kind of mystery behind it, and you're trying to like piece things together as you go along with the film. Um, but I think in a lot of ways, it just feels like they're adding an extra like element to the film that I don't think really needed to be there per se. Um, because you already have so much history between him and his father and his brother. So it's like, did you really need this one extra thing? Even though I like some of the stuff that comes from it. Like I said, there's like a relatability between him and his dad, like making decisions that they regret. I like that he has someone that, you know, he's competing in these fights because he wants to give back
Yeah.
to someone that he let down, or he feels like he let down, even though, you know, it wasn't his fault, but he feels that
Yeah.
guilt. um and so I love all of that. I just think that, like, in hindsight, like, I don't know if that stuff was like fully necessary, or like maybe the way that they executed it just wasn't as good as it could have been. But I don't know, it kind of felt like one of those things where it's like, okay, we've got, let's see, like, how terrible can we make these guys' lives? And it's like, all right, there's the last one.
So I am okay with you even said, like you said, like there's some stuff about it that I like.
Yeah,
I feel the same way, and I would actually be okay if they left in the military stuff, like because you like you said, he's we he needs to be in this fight for a reason. The
yeah,
family drama stuff isn't enough for him to be a contender. You know, he has to have something in his own life that he cares about, that he thinks is worth fighting. So, and I actually like the idea of him seeing like the Marines as his real brother. Like that great line whenever he's like, "You were my brother," and he's like, "You were in the Corps." He's like, "What?"
yeah,
I said, "I didn't
yeah,
know you were in the Corps." Then you ain't no brother of mine. Like it just, I so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him feeling like because both characters need their own personal reasons to enter. You've got the house foreclosure stuff with Brendan. You've got the I'm trying to help out the widow of my brother in the army or in the Marines. So I'm okay with that. To me, where the movie takes a step too far and almost feels like it has a lack of confidence in its own drama is whenever they're like, well, also, he's a deserter though. And after this fight, he's going to be arrested. And it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't need that. Like,
Yeah.
whenever, like, there's already so much stakes going into this last fight to then be like, he's got Marines posted outside. He's going to get arrested afterward. I'm like, this is a bridge too far. So, like, to me, the whole, like, having him be AWOL, and I thought him taking on Reardon as his last name, just the answer of him doing that as a way to further distance himself from his dad and identify himself with his mom, that's a much, much, much better, more dramatic and thematically relevant reason for the name change than that's why you changed your name because
Yeah.
you're AWOL and you don't want to be like, no, 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 get rid of that, get rid of that. He changed his last name because he doesn't want to be like his father. That's so much more compelling. And to me,
Yeah.
just him being like, let him be a war hero. And to me, I think the fact that he's a war hero while still burdened with all this guilt is more compelling because it's like, it's not real, it shouldn't be real guilt, but he can't shake it. That's more compelling to me than like, also I deserted my unit and I'm going to be arrested if they find me. I'm like, the stakes in this fight is already so high that it
Yeah.
just felt like the movie felt the need to be like, wait, 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 one more thing. If you didn't think this fight was serious enough, guess what? He's arrested right after. And it's like, nah, that's lame. I don't care about that. I don't care about that part of the character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree, and you made a really great point about the last name. Um, they have, you know, like between him and his brother when they're on the beach, like we talked about earlier, they have that great exchange where it's like they were all gonna leave with their mom, and that didn't happen, and he was there when like he saw his mom die,
yeah,
right? So it's like, man, that would have been so much more powerful if he changed his name to her last name because that's like who he grew up with for
yeah.
like the later half of his childhood. Um,
And that's why it stings when Colt Boyd comes to ask about him. He's like, is Tommy Reardon here? And the dad hears him and he's like, it stings because he hears his own son not even using his own last name anymore.
yeah,
Like that means nothing anymore. If it's like, oh no, I didn't change it because of you, Dad. I'm just on the run. It's like, no, no, no. It was so much more compelling before that.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, I definitely think that they had something interesting there. And I'd say for the most part, it works, but just that last extra element just felt a like a bit too much.
Yeah.
Um, and like
Almost too
it,
soap opera-y, where it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I was gonna say it reminds me of our conversation about Rocky and how we were talking about. I'm blanking on his name for some reason. The like kind of mobster guy who Rocky
oh,
works for,
Gazzo.
Gazzo. Yes, we had talked about in a Rocky discussion that it was so refreshing to
Oh
see
yeah.
Gazzo not be this guy in the first movie that ends up being like the surprise villain in the third act, and he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, you owe me money."
Yeah.
Like that's what this felt like in Warrior with this extra thing. It's like, oh well, wait, all of a sudden he's gonna get arrested by military police at the end. For by the way, like his reason for deserting totally warranted because it was their fault that all of that stuff happened. So like the fact that they're arresting him for deserting after they killed a bunch of their own
And
men, I'm
that
like,
whole plot just feels so bloated where it's like in a few minutes we're like he was in the military and then there was friendly fire and the you know military blew up everybody except for him and now he's on there. I was like, oh my gosh, you just described like a movie's worth of content. Like this
yeah,
is too much.
yeah. Yeah, no, like whenever the military stuff first happened in the film, like whenever you get the first scene, like I was like, dude, this is really cool because it
Yeah.
feel like it's shot really well and like there's just a sense of like urgency. And so I was like really interested, and it sucks that they didn't like fully stick the landing with that stuff, because I think it would have really worked if
I
it.
still I like the idea that, you know, he really did rescue those people and they are
Yeah,
genuinely grateful for that, and that even after the desertion, like the Marines are still there in the audience for him, and there's even
yeah,
after the reveals, like they're he like I like all of that, and I think all of that could stay intact. I think you could remove the whole like desertion thing and be left with something a lot more interesting. Because again, like this third act is already like this is already fantastic. This is so emotional. These
yes.
brothers collide. Like this is so good. I promise you, movie, you don't need this. You've got gold already. Like you
But
really
wait,
don't need
there's
this.
more.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It just feels like this. Like what?
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah, man. Otherwise, though, I think there's some really great stuff with this character. But yeah, speaking of like the Gazo thing, I'm also really glad. I thought that Frank's character, I was worried that they were gonna do something like that, where he was gonna like turn his back on Brendan, and I was really happy that didn't happen, because
Yeah, he's
I
such a
really
bro,
like
dude. I
him.
love him.
Yeah, he has like such a great presence in this film, and I really like his interaction and uh, just bromance
Yeah,
with Brendan, um, and like to have his like friend be the one training him, I think is really cool. Um, and like, man, he's got so many like great lines of dialogue near the end. I really like whenever, uh, Joel is like feeling like giving up, and Frank's like, he's like, see what's in front of you? That's your house being lost. That's this,
yeah,
that's that. Listing these things off to like add fire to the fuel to really get him to be like, no, I need to be here to
yeah,
win, not just to be here. Um, yeah, I think he's a great character,
yeah.
and I'm really, really glad that they didn't do something where he's like,
That would
oh,
suck.
well, man, I've got this successful like gym and everything, and I found this surprise guy Koba or something like
Yeah,
that, and I'm gonna stab you in the back, or they could have done this thing where it's like, oh, he ends up, you know training or like taking on his brother like as his manager, like some plot twist like that. I'm really glad that that stayed intact, and it's like, nope, they're just friends. He's actually genuinely helping him out, and there's nothing more to it than that.
yeah. Like I love Frank Grillo. Like anytime he shows up, I'm like, it's this guy. He's so great. Uh, I want him in more stuff just because when he's around, I like him. But
Yeah,
yeah, I love all of his scenes. I think
I'm
he's super
excited to
likable.
see his capacity. Oh, good.
Oh, I was just saying, like he's just got a likability to him, and I also I love the Beethoven training.
Yes,
Using the
yeah,
like Ode to Joy in the theme, like in the score, is really cool.
yeah. I love the way that they implemented it into the score as well. Whoa, I'm like lagging like crazy right now. I don't know.
I'm hearing you, but
Are
your
you still
picture's
there?
frozen. Yeah, can you hear me? It appears that Drew has left the live stream. Now it's just me. Joseph, are you still there in the comments?
All right,
Oh, Drew's
I
back.
think I'm back. That was weird. You started lagging, and I thought it was on your end, and then I disconnected like 2 seconds later.
Well, Well, that answers that then.
Yeah.
You were saying you were excited to see his capacity.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm really excited to see how he's implemented in Superman.
Yeah. My fear is that it's gonna be too close to like a Crossbones type character where he's like uncostumed, kind of gruff military guy.
Yeah,
That's it. It's like, but wait, hold on. Is he?
he's Rick Flag Senior.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Well
yeah.
then,
So I'm like he's got to have more to him than just that.
yeah,
So yeah, he's one of those actors where it's like yeah, that guy. Honestly, Joel Edgerton is like that too. He
yeah,
doesn't get enough leading roles.
yeah. We need him in more.
Absolutely.
Um,
I see that you're getting ready to fight Joseph.
oh yeah, so we're gonna just fight in our parents' backyard tomorrow.
Heck yeah, dude.
So,
Dude,
uh,
oh good.
yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say we should talk about the dad real quick.
Yeah,
And then I really want to talk about that that final fight. Um, but yeah, Nick Nolte is fantastic in this film. Like I already said, I think he delivers. Honestly, maybe my favorite performance in the film. He's
maybe.
just
Yeah.
fantastic. But the scene where he is at the casino with Tommy, and then gets hit with those absolutely vile comments from him, and then going back to like slipping up, and like because they make it a point that he went over 1,000 days without or with being sober, and then him slipping up and falling back into getting drunk again. um just seeing how broken he was in that scene, him going full on like Moby Dick, which when we got to that scene, I was like, man, I, I need to pick that book back up.
It's so good.
Yeah, but just seeing how broken he was, like my heart sank to the floor, and I I was just like, man, like first off, get this freaking alcohol away from him, but
Yeah.
also I just want to give him a freaking hug, dude.
I don't know.
Like that poor man did not deserve that. And yeah, I really like his character and the arc that he goes through. Um, him trying his best to like rebuild the relationship between him and his sons, um, and constantly feeling like a failure, living with all the regret and guilt that he has. Um, it's so good. I think it's some of the best writing in the film. Some of the most like realistic like writing too. We don't have the oh, but wait, he's actually a deserter.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, everything to do with this character I think is so good.
Yeah,
That
like oh good.
that exchange that like sets him down, that is like, again, it's like Tommy is just looking, he's like trying to figure out what can I say that is going to hurt him as much as I can. Because he acts all casual about it, but it's like
Yeah.
this man is deviously planning in his mind the most biting and cutting comments he can. Like, the "I liked you better when you were drunk" thing. And whenever he's trying to be there with fatherly advice, and he's like, I'm really trying here, Tommy. And he's like, this guy you're being for me right now, I needed you years ago. I needed you when I was a kid. I don't need you now. And when he's like, the one thing that Brendan and I have in common is neither of us have any use for you.
Mm.
And then when he tells him like to get out of here, and he throws the coins in his face, and he's just like, get out of
Yeah.
here. And he just slowly shuffles out of the casino. You're like, oh my gosh, you broke this man now. He is broken after that.
Yeah.
To just be told, because at this point it feels so true. Because Brendan is still, it's not like Brendan and him are on like great terms either. So to just hear that like his two sons are at odds, his two sons do not like each other, and the one thing they can agree on is having no desire for a relationship with him. If that's the
Yeah.
one thing that the two can have in common, it's like, oh man. And then that scene happens. Like Nick Nolte is incredible. His performance here is so amazing.
It's insane.
And I love the opportunity that the scene has at further, at giving Tommy a tender moment where like he isn't heartless, he even with all the rage and hate he has, to see his father like this, just broken and shuffling and confused and out of his wits, is like when he just sits on the bed and like holds him and is like,
Yeah.
just just like, shh, like calm
Oh
him down.
man.
Like, oh man, dude, every time I cry, every
Yeah.
time. It's such a moving scene. Like, just regardless of how much animosity he still has for him, you just can't see an old man and your father no less in that state and not feel something in your heart like this is wrong. This is
Yeah.
sad. This man needs somebody. And the fact that he doesn't choose to go on a walk and he comforts him there, it gets me every time.
Yeah. It's so good. Easily one of the best films, or one of the best films, one of the best scenes in the film,
Yeah.
but it is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Man.
And it also, something that I hadn't really noticed as much until this most recent watching, is like Brendan, they both get 3 fights each, and before Brendan goes out on his first fight, he's out there in the tunnel. Patty is there. He's there, and he's like, Brendan, go get him. Like he lets him know he's there rooting for him, and Brendan just kind of looks at him and moves on. And then after the second fight, Brendan's ready to go out, and he's like, "You're gonna get him, Brendan." He's like, he's right there still every
Yeah.
time. And so you just think of like that first scene with him whenever he's like, you never cared about the underdog, you never cared about me, you got your son back, blah blah blah. And to now see both fights back to back, Dad's been there, first guy to like greet me there, and the second time it happens, he kind of. I think the second one is the one where he's like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, Brendan. You're like, yeah. And what I noticed this last time is like, because his dad had that drunken episode, he's not there to see him. He's not there to greet him at the tunnel. And so what's the first thing that Brendan says when they get into the ring is he goes up to
Where's Pop?
Tommy. Like, yeah. And he noticed that. He's like, Dad's not there. Dad's been there. And I don't know, just that moment of realizing Brendan's starting to care about his dad again,
Yep.
man. So good.
Yep. I love that, like, man, that whole final fight is, I love that it's not, even though Brendan wins, it's not a win of like, oh, I'm better than you, like like glorifying the victory in that way. I love that, like, ultimately they're both winning because they're reconciling. They're winning each other back. And it is a roller coaster of emotions, that whole fight. At first I'm like, dude, Tommy, like, chill, like, this is your brother, why are you going so freaking hard on him? And then
The
going,
he does like that. Shut up! Come on, like it's just
Oh,
like
I know. Like he just,
nasty, dude.
dude, that's what I'm telling you. Like about his performance, Tom Hardy's performance is so unreal in this. Like he just has so much like anger behind him in these fights. It's unreal. Um, but yeah, like just going through this whirlwind of emotions. You're cheering Brendan on. You're angry at Tommy. And as it goes, then you start feeling some sympathy towards Tommy, especially whenever he hurts his shoulder. And you
Oh,
just hear that pop, and it is, oh man. And the way that as soon as that right after that happens, Brendan immediately is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And like
yeah.
trying to like check on him, and he's still going, he's still fighting. It- Man, like, and just the way that it's shot, the action sequences are incredible here. The sound design is so good because you'll get the like
Oh,
when you have like those light punches, but then when you get to the heavy stuff, it is just like the bass hits so
yeah.
hard, and you
When they're
feel,
picking up whole bodies and slamming them, dude.
oh yeah, you feel those hits just by like the way that the sound design is. I yeah, I love this, and the score as well is fantastic in this final fight. And then you've got that song by, I think the band is called The National. Um, that track,
When that starts playing.
it the once that track started playing, that's when I was like, all right, the tears, like they're uncontrollable now, and just didn't stop until the credits started rolling.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it just, what an amazing way to end the film. Um, I like that, we also see Patty finally walk in, and he's
Yeah.
witnessing like the last bit of this fight, and seeing them like reconcile, and just like the look on his face.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
man.
man, it's so good. I had another thought, but it escaped my mind. Oh well. Yeah, it's gone.
Ugh. Get it back later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole last fight to me is like you said, like it really, we can call this or that a roller coaster, but like it's a roller coaster of emotions, going into it,
100%.
how we feel at the beginning, how we feel at the end, and like as soon as the shoulder pops, I like, and Tom Hardy's still up, and he's looking out at all the Marines out there, and it's going through his mind, and just like what he's in this for. The shot of like whenever seeing that he's still stepping back into the ring, and he's just got this limp arm that he can't move.
Mm,
It's such a like it's like a pitiful image where you're like,
yeah.
oh, this guy, man, this guy, oh, like just it's a heartbreaking image to me of just so much fight left in him, such a strong desire to do this, to win this for what he's wanting to win it for, and to just see him like with this broken body in front of him, can't barely continue, and he's still fighting. And just Brendan constantly like, Tommy, what are you doing? What are you doing? We don't have to do this, Tom. Like just pleading with him. And there's that shot when they go into the last one, and like the song starts, right as the last round is beginning, and yeah, I the emotions start flooding me when that track first starts, and they like Brennan walks in. He doesn't even have his fist up. He just walks in, and he looks at him in disbelief. Like he's like, I can't believe he's still trying, man. And it you can just tell that he hates having to do this. Every punch he wishes he didn't have to throw.
Yeah.
Like he hates having to pound on him like that. And it's it's sad to see. And I love that after he taps out, when he finally says, I love you, Tommy. I love you. and Tommy finally taps out, and he convinces everybody. It's like, please, no, like he's telling like everybody get it back, like we have to do this. That image to the song playing while they're walking, he's holding Tommy, and Tommy's like he's just resting his head on Tommy's shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I cry so hard at that. It's like it's just a full on stream of tears. Uh, it ended and the lights went on, and my sister looks around. And she's like, "I'm just making sure that everybody's eyes are adequately teary." And I'm like, "Todd, like my eyes are not teary. My eye, like I've been full on crying over here, man."
Yeah. Oh man, I can't even imagine seeing this like on the big screen. It must have been unreal. I read a Letterboxd review. It might be even the top one, where it was. It just says like, "I've never seen so many grown men cry in the theater before." And I'm
Yeah.
like, real.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
I really do think like just emotionally that's like one of my all-time endings. You just like I'll all the marine stuff, the problems with some of that stuff starts melting away. Other stuff is
Oh
just
yeah.
like, no man, this is perfect. This is beautiful.
Yeah, you kind of forget about that even being a thing when you get
Yeah.
to the end.
Turns out it's not needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like they don't even there's no resolution on that at all. So it's
Yeah.
just like it really was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But
And
it's okay. Like the ending forgives it.
yeah. Oh man. What's funny is uh one of my younger sisters watched it on her day off sometime last year. So I remember I came home and I walked in and she was finishing up the movie because she just decided to watch it just because it had been a while. So I sit down and I literally come in 2 minutes before the song starts playing. Like I walk in at the end and I start crying there.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I haven't even watched it. I'm just here for the ending, and I'm like song plays. He looks at his brother. There's all the emotions, and I'm like, dang it, dude. I can't help it. I can't help it with this movie.
Yeah. Man. What a way to end the film, dude.
Yeah. And there's something about just the he's not even looking for it. Just the resting his head on Tommy's shoulder. The whole walkout is like, oh man, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's so nice to just see them um yeah. It's just so nice to see them reconcile in the end. Like
And what's great is like there's no verbal affirmation of it on Tommy's side, but like
you
the
know.
movie's intent. You
Yeah.
like whenever the fact that it wasn't until Brendan said, "I love you,
I love
Tommy.
you.
I
Yep.
love you," that he taps out.
Yep.
And then neither of them like in words reconcile with their dad, but their dad looking at them smiling and not like it's just like what the movie wants you to think about all of this. You
Yes.
know that it's just all of this the theme of of like familial reconciliation is just swelling up. And I
Yes.
love that we don't need all those words of happening back and forth between the characters. We know what the movie wants us to think and feel about what just happened with all of them.
Yeah. It's great cuz again like it leaves like it doesn't like fully resolve like some of the things there near the end. Like you don't see the stuff with the military police and all that, but it never the way that the visual language is used, like the intent behind what the ending is saying, and it's not in a way that's like left up in the air. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to like verbally state it, but you just know. I think that there's something that's just really um I don't know, like cinematic about that. Um
Yeah.
which I know is like probably just a cheap way to say that, but it really is like it's a visual medium, show don't tell.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the most effective ways to do that 100%.
Yeah. And you can speculate and talk afterwards. Like in my mind, I'm like, Brendan is a good guy. There's no way that Brendan doesn't help out with that Marines, like the widow. Like in my mind, 100% he helps
Oh,
her. When he finds out that that's why Tommy was fighting with all of his might to do that, there's no way Brendan doesn't help. And so like
100%.
the movie, I think the movie lets you be like, what do you think went like happened after blah blah blah. But I do love that the movie was like, boy, we achieved something really special with this edit and this song and them walking out. Like, it would be a shame to end on anything else, anything other than them walking out together. Like, that this is, you have to end on that feeling in that shot.
100%. Man, what a movie, dude. Well, I guess we can start getting close to wrapping up. Do you have like any final thoughts, anything that we like missed out on that you wanted to mention real quick?
I had one last kind of like nitpick with it, but I'll definitely like my final thought will be positive because I don't want to end on a nitpick because I love this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I think both Tommy and Brendan have their own version of that was like maybe the one thing too many that you didn't really need. I think Brendan's is less egregious, but it is there a little bit to me. And that's some of the stuff with the high school students. Like I'm okay with most of it. Like I'm okay with them going and watching it at an outdoor theater. I think that's fun. And like the principal showing up, like I think all that's well and good. The one scene that really, and this is why I can't criticize it too much because it literally is one scene. But the issue is that the one scene feels like it's given so much gravity that it sticks with me. And it's whenever the students are asking if they can watch the fight at the school. And like you get the funny line of like, you are asking me if the school can show footage of a teacher committing the acts that he was expelled for on school. Like, you get that's funny enough or whatever. But like, whenever they're like, come on, please let us watch it at the school. And he's like, no, the score is doing this boom, 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 as they look so distraught. And we get like a 15-second shot of them with their heads down, walking out of the principal's office, and the whole time walking out and then down the hall of boom, boom, boom. I'm like, what? Like, we are dealing with like family estrangement and alcoholism and all of like we've got so much crazy drama. You cannot bring all the weight of this soundtrack onto we can't watch it at school. Like it feels like there's so, and again it's like it's one like 2-minute scene, but that scene lingers on that shot of them leaving and the music pounds on those drums. Like it feels like, again, it feels like the movie is like, we need one more thing happening on their side, like on Brandon's side of the story.
Yeah.
And there's not even really a resolution because like I guess technically there is. It's like they just find another venue, but it's like we never needed that. Like we could have just cut out that whole scene and just been like, yeah, cut to them showing it at an outdoor theater because he's like, local teacher is in the most like the highest profile MMA fight ever. It's not really a shocker that they would play that at a local theater,
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know. There's something about that scene that sticks out because it's like, I don't even know any of y'all's names. And whether or not you're able to watch this fight at school has zero bearing on the drama itself. So it's like, I don't know, that one scene right there sticks out to me every time because of how dramatic they shoot it and score it. So.
But if they kept it in, would you have? How would you have shot it and scored it? Would you have not done it the same way?
No. I just wouldn't have had it at all.
Yeah.
It's like what? again, what is it? What does it matter if they can watch it at the school, dude? What? I don't. This is not drama.
Dude,
There's incredible drama happening over there. Why are we
you know how
even?
many people I know watched Saving Private Ryan at school? Like, come on now. They can
They can handle an MMA fight.
yeah, it's fine. It's their teacher, man. Like, come on now. Um,
So that's
yeah,
my last, like, I guess, little nitpick issue.
yeah. I don't really think I have any other um issues or nitpicks. It was mainly just the deserting stuff that was like really the big criticism that I had. But even then, the ending kind of just forgives it. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's there and I can't not notice it, but because the ending is so phenomenal and there's so many other elements of the film that are great too. Like so
Because
many
you've been
individual
such a
scenes,
yeah.
like just most of the writing is perfect, but it's really just that one thing that's like, man, it's holding it back from being like a perfect film for me. Yeah. So, what was your positive that you wanted to end on?
Uh, oh, just like a typical like final thought kind of thing. I think this is one of those movies that what was the last one? Was it Moneyball or no? It was Rocky that we talked about. Where like it's one of those movies where like movie fans and your grandma. I mean, maybe your grandma will object to some of the language in this. I don't know. Uh, but generally, it's one of those ones where it's like your cinephile friend and your neighbor who goes and watches a movie every so often. Like they're both gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's the great kind of crowd pleaser. Not the low hanging fruit kind of least common denominator, four quadrant. Let's make sure that it's just it's super accessible. It's super easy to approach. The drama is right there. Every reason to like it's not buried under you know symbol. Like it's right. The movie's right in front of you. Everything to like about it is right in front of your eyes, and it's also just so well done that there's every reason to like it.
Yeah.
It's I don't. It's my favorite kind of like movie to love and watch in a group because everybody's gonna love it, and it's not because it's silly. It's again, I'll watch it in a group, and when the lights go on, I'm in a room full of teary-eyed people, and we're all
Yeah.
into it, and it's just a truly great movie with really great writing and really great performances.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those like I think those are the best kind of crowd pleasing films. You know, stuff like any of Spielberg's big blockbusters or,
Yeah,
Top Gun Maverick, um, just a random like recent example. Um, getting that film where you're put through a whirlwind of emotions. You've got some good drama. You've got really great characters. You've got
it
people to
has
root
everything.
for, people to root against. It has everything. Really, it does. Um, some amazing fight scenes too.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's fantastic, and it's really nice that I have yet another film that I can put in my list of best sports films,
yeah,
like Moneyball and this standing next to Rocky. Like that's pretty cool.
yeah,
So I'm really happy that we did this like sports month.
yeah.
I think it was really fun, and just seeing the different uh like flavors of sports films. Like even though this is another fighting film, like Rocky is, it's very different.
Yeah.
Um, and like even heck, it's even set in Philly for part of the film too, and it has a different style to it. Has the drama is very different. So I really enjoyed just doing this month. So
Yeah.
And I think this was a great one to end on. So yeah, Warrior's awesome. And speaking of, let's go ahead and give our ratings real quick. So I'm gonna throw this on the screen. So I made a graphic that I introduced last week, but I kind of improved it since the last time. Since Michael wasn't here, he obviously does not have his score up here. But James ended up giving it 4 stars.
It's a very strong 4, and I teetered back and forth. But this is like a strong 4-star.
Yeah. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think that I honestly I gave it that rating as soon as I hit the credits. I was just like, man, I freaking love this. We have that one thing with the military stuff that we talked about that kind of holds it back. Honestly, if it weren't for that, and then maybe your nitpick as well, I think I would have given this 5 stars. Like it's really, really fantastic. And I can see myself rewatching this
Yeah.
a lot of times. So much so that I really want to pick this up physically soon.
Yeah.
This is a movie that I definitely want to own. So
it's a
I
great
think it's
movie to
great.
show people. Because
Yes.
again, there's no way you're gonna come across somebody who doesn't like it.
Yeah, definitely. And then last week we talked about implementing like an average score that would combine all of ours together. So that's what I included there. So it's at 4.5 stars because you have to round it up, but also my rating is the one that matters the most. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and it's banking on a 4.5 from Michael,
Yeah.
honestly. So
Yeah. Honestly, I could see Michael even maybe giving it a 5 stars.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I know he's gonna love it, and I know the emotions are gonna get him.
So. Oh yeah, it's gonna wreck him. But yeah. Anyways, that's our official rating. So like we mentioned before, you should definitely join our Facebook group, Banter Fodder, a film and television discussion group. It'll be linked in the bio below. I had to reference that again. But yeah, it'll be in the description. So for all of you listening on the podcast feed, or for any of you who join in the stream tonight, or who see this later on YouTube, definitely go ahead and join up. We've got a lot of fun discussions there. You can check out all of our recent watches on our weekly rewind. And then every now and then we'll have a week where we have y'all vote for what movie we're reviewing. So
I think it'd be fun to incorporate that, every so often again, because I mean it worked out well this time. I was so hoping it'd be Warrior.
Yeah. I can't remember what we did last time for the vote. I remember it also being a really good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna start doing that more often. And then also, if you're listening on the podcast feed, make sure you give it that 5-star review. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, if you're new for the first time, hit us with that subscribe, hit the like button because that helps. And we do weekly live reviews for movies. Eventually, we'll get around to covering a TV show. We have one in particular that we definitely want to cover, and it'll happen at some point this year. We're just trying to find the perfect time for that. But yeah, thanks for everyone who tuned in. Shout out to Joseph and Brian for showing up again. And then Michael, we miss you. And It was cool having you in here for like 2 seconds. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Make sure you go support your local theaters.
Yeah.
And
go watch Black Bag. Go watch Black Bag.
Yes, I need to do that myself soon.
You're gonna like it, Drew.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna like it. I can't wait. I probably won't be catching it this week. because one of my best friends who I watch movies with frequently, he's in London right now for vacation, which I'm super jealous.
Mm.
London in it, drone in it. But yeah, he's over across the pond right now. But as soon as he gets back, we talked about going to see Black Bag, so that's gonna happen.
Nice.
But yeah, go support your local theaters. And we'll see you guys next week for our 50th episode, The Godfather.
Man, I'm hyped.
Can't wait. We are going to give you a movie review that you can't refuse. All right, bye.